Hey everybody, this is James. I'm in downtown Gainesville, Texas today. This is not what I had planned. I was going to go to Wichita Falls, but something came up. I ended up having to go to Gainesville, and so I decided to come here to the site of the Great Hanging at Gainesville. Now this is the original monument, erected in 1964. A couple of years ago, they erected this new monument. Now, during the Civil War, Gainesville, Texas, there were a lot of northern transplants. And it was a very Union-friendly area, I guess we could say. People here, the majority of people here did not want Texas to secede from the Union. And the deal Texas had with the Confederacy is people would fight for the Confederacy if they volunteered, but they couldn't come and make them do it. And so a Confederate general came to Texas, came into Gainesville, and he asked for all able-bodied men to come downtown and volunteer. Well, of course, I think they planned this from the beginning. They knew that nobody would show up, and nobody did. So they put together a kangaroo court, basically. And they tried every man that they collected and tried them as put them on trial as Union sympathizers. Now I use the word kangaroo court because one way or the other they were going to find these men guilty, and they did. They hanged 40 men, shot 2 others who were trying to escape, and the fact of the matter is that none of them had plans to overthrow the Confederate government or try to kill anybody's leaders. They were just here. They just didn't really want to have anything to do with it. And they say that Gainesville has tried to hide this history for years, and I guess it's not something you'd exactly put in the travel brochure. But they've had a book out, and it's not something that's just right out there in the open. But I always thought, well, they're not really trying to hide it. But then I get here, and this is the area where the hanging took place. I'll give you a look around. Of course, the tree that they were hanged from is long gone, but it was in this vicinity that these men were hanged. But you can see they have a little sign there. I hadn't even noticed that. Great hanging site. But this does not exactly stand out. There's no convenient parking. I'm actually parked over there. You can park at a business and hope you don't get towed. You can park on the street right there, but still, I guess if they wanted to put the memorial up at the site, there's not a lot they could do. Now, why would I be interested in this? Other than this is an unscheduled trip to Gainesville, and I wanted to make a video. Well, for one thing, hopefully I can get close enough here. Anyway, if you want to pause and read that, if you can read it, it's kind of hard to tell. This is just kind of a little fun fact, I guess. the man who was presiding over this court, the foreman of the jury, I guess if you will, was this fella right here, Daniel Montague. And where I live now is Montague County, who is named after Daniel Montague. Now, to further make that kind of odd and kind of spur my interest, as I mentioned, there were a lot of northern transplants in this area. One of them was my great-great-great-great-grandfather, who was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, and moved the family eventually to Texas. They just kept coming south. They lived in Alabama for a while, in Texas, I think Kentucky for a little bit, and they ended up in Texas. And he was one of the first, he opened one of the first stores in this area. He was actually a fairly prominent figure. Well, his son married a woman named Elizabeth Crisp. Elizabeth had a brother named John Mansell Crisp. So that is my, I think, great-great-great-great uncle. So it's not a direct line, but I do have family. I do have a family member that was hanged, and you can see there, convicted and hanged by the Citizens Court. There were only a handful there. Two of them were shot trying to escape, but then several of them. You've got 14 names there. They were acquitted by the court, but then lynched by a mob. And then the most of them, including my 4 times great uncle, acquitted by the Citizens Court, but then retried and convicted and hanged. So, like I said, one way or the other, they were going to be guilty. It's an interesting story. If you want to look it up, I'll see if I can get some links. Now, I want to stress that I'm not making this video as an attack on the Confederacy or to something negative about the South during the Civil War or anything. There were horrible things that happened on both sides during that war. In fact, you can look this up if you'd like. Harry Truman's mother, when Harry Truman was the President of the United States, she refused to sleep in the Lincoln bedroom because when she was younger, Union troops came through, ran her family off their farm, and burned their farm down. She was still pissed about it. So she refused to sleep in the Lincoln bedroom. So just like any war, I suspect, there are bad things that happen on both sides. But this is just a little piece of history that maybe not a lot of people know. Like I say, I have a family connection to it. And I do also want to point out that this is not the only thing in Gainesville. Now the view from here, there's a train going by. The view from here is not great, but it's a nice city. I worked in Gainesville for 18 years. Most of those years, I spent more time in Gainesville than I did where I lived. So I do still feel a connection to the city. I still do my banking over here, as a matter of fact, just because I don't want to have to mess with everything that's involved with switching banks again. This is the Medal of Honor city. They invite all the living Medal of Honor winners here once a year, and it's, I believe usually all of them show up. So it is still a great city. There's a lot more to it than just this dark history. Well, thanks to the train going through, it got a little crowded there in downtown Gainesville. Every time a train goes through, especially one as long as that one was, downtown Gainesville just kind of comes to a screeching halt. I was going to show you the train station and some of the other stuff down there. It's actually got Hello. It's actually got a really neat little downtown area, but I had to go, with everything just brought to a halt, and I had to go take care of what I came here to begin with. And so I just thought, well, I'm just kind of this Medal of Honor host city. They do that once a year, and of course everything I've decided to get video of today has been a pain in the butt to get to. This is the closest I could come to getting a good shot. But, maybe sometime that train station down there, like I say, it's pretty cool. I've never ridden on a train before. I think I'm going to do that sometime. Maybe we'll get a look between what it looks like between here and Oklahoma City. But, I hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, it's a little more serious than what we normally do, I guess. But if you're a fan of history like I am, then maybe you can look some of that stuff up, and it's a really interesting look at some of the things that are going on. So I'm going to get out of the highway. I'll see you next time.